Hi, this is Tom Chittum, and I'm recording this audio on Thursday, March 16th, 2023. And the title of this audio is, quote, Zelensky Line penetrated and BAKHMUT area, unquote. Now I'm going to read the text of it. The Wagner Group has overrun Ukrainian trenches north of BAKHMUT and are now west of the Zelensky Line of seriously fortified bunkers. That is the main defensive line of the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are said to be constructing a new defensive line, maybe 8 miles to the west of BAKHMUT, but it will probably be just trenches with little or no overhead cover. And the Russian artillery will demolish them, and Russian grunts will waste it as shocked and disabled survivors. Now the big question is, what will the Russians do next? Because for the first time they have bashed through the very center of the Zelensky Line that has been under construction since 2014. Also, as of March 16th, the Wagners have bashed their way into the BAKHMUT city center. The Ukrainians have retreated west, and they have abandoned eastern BAKHMUT, except for some doomed rear guard simpletons that covered this retreat. Why the Russians are bothering to do this, I haven't a clue. I wouldn't assault these little cauldrons. I would just sit there and let them starve. The BAKHMUT cauldron really isn't a cauldron anymore. Anyway, it isn't big enough for that. The BAKHMUT cauldron has shrunk down to the size of an artillery range. Every square inch of it can be hit by mortars and heavy machine gun fire. It's about 2 miles by 2 miles. 2 separate Wagner assault groups, one from the north and one from the south, are converging on the last remaining escape route out of BAKHMUT. The last time I checked, this so-called escape route was about 800 meters wide and was subject to rifle fire from both Wagner assault groups from both north and the south. This so-called escape route is really a big arcade duck shooting gallery. It's a gauntlet that must be run every time the Ukrainians want to enter or leave BAKHMUT. There are an estimated 3,000 to 20,000 simpleton Ukrainian defenders still inside BAKHMUT. They are mostly expendable geezers and Shanghai pizza delivery boys and various B-team losers. These should not be confused with the 300 Spartans of ancient times. The current reality is that these simpletons still in BAKHMUT have 3 choices. First, it would be a high-speed mass breakout to the west. Make like stampede arcade ducks and a mass, high-speed, every man for himself, non-stop shooting gallery. Few will make it, but the video will be awesome. Choice number 2, fight to the death while starving and freezing in a Russian artillery raid. They get 3 burial choices: crispy, extra crispy, and thermobaric triple extra crispy. Oh! Number 3, unconditional surrender. They can throw down their gas and eat buckwheat soup in Siberia, along with the other simpletons that Zelensky abandoned. Elsewhere, all along the Zelensky Line, the Russians are launching one attack after another. I call it Putin's meat slicer, and it's really chopping up Ukrainian grunts and Ukrainian military equipment on an industrial scale, one trench line at a time. The Russians haven't announced a general offensive as most expected, but events on the ground sure look like a general offensive to me. Also, many are saying that the coming muddy season will bog down both sides, but I say different. First, this is World War II, and the Ukraine is now covered by many all-weather paved roads. Also, track vehicles can operate on their better dirt roads, railway lines, and higher and drier dirt patches of woods and fields. And in any case, the Russians have more track vehicles than the Ukrainians, so they will be far better equipped for both fighting and resupply, no matter what the weather, wet or dry, cold or hot. Keep in mind that these war trenches are really taken by massive artillery fire, and that the infantry assaults are really just mopping up operations, with Russian grunts walking down the trench line and wasting a few shell-shock survivors. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Typically, the assaulting Russian grunts don't assault across fields, as in World War II, even when the fields are perfectly dry. The Russians can and do assault directly down paved roads running straight towards the enemy, with a column of tanks and infantry mingled together. When arriving at the trench line, the Russian infantry peels off and advances left and right down the trench line. So what happens after the BAKHMUT civilians are blasted to bits or marched off to Siberia? Well, Colonel McGregor says that at some point the Russians will have to attack and take Kiev to make an object lesson of them. On the other hand, Colonel Ritter says that the Russians will try to avoid taking Kiev under siege. My guess is that the Russians' first priority will be to completely crush the Ukrainian army and destroy or capture all their equipment, no matter where they are found. If Zelensky and his generals withdraw troops and make a sort of Alamo fortress out of Kiev, the Russians will go ape and level it. I think it more likely that we'll see a revolt of the Ukrainian generals with green screen Zelensky lynched upside down Mussolini style, or escape to London if he is lucky. Ukraine will be carved up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Okay, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.